The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. I'm Rob Deininger, and as always, I'm here with Jack Degraw. We're talking Yankees baseball. How you doing, Jack?
Good. How are you today, Robert?
Not too bad. Yankees took the first game of the doubleheader today, one game away from winning their 100th.
Yeah, I mean, they hit 3 homers. Unfortunately, one wasn't Aaron Judge who hit them, but if they reach 100 wins, that's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I thought for sure Aaron Judge he'll hit more than 61 home runs, but Baltimore and in Toronto, they didn't really give him anything to hit, and in Texas they're pitching to him, but he just hasn't hit one yet. Yeah, and I'm at the point now where I think 61 is going to be all he hits this year, which is just still incredible, But it's unfortunate that the last couple series he hasn't had much to hit.
No, I mean, the Jays are, we're going for trying to get the home field in the playoffs, and Baltimore was trying to finish with a winning record, which they finally did, getting 82 wins. I think the Rangers are pitching to him, but, we'll see. He's got maybe 10 more at bats, so hopefully he'll hit one. Yeah.
I mean, I think in one of the games against Baltimore, he walked 4 times in one game. But he's still a threat at the plate if you pitch to him.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been maybe once or twice, he went after bad pitches, but he seems, he stays within himself, and he don't chase bad balls. So, we'll see what happens over the last 2 games.
He's got 111 walks this year. I mean, he's batting .310 with 61 homers, 130 RBIs. I mean, he's no doubt the unanimous MVP of the league this year.
Yeah, he should be. I mean, Ohtani's having an excellent year, but without Judge, the Yankees, might be battling for the 3rd playoff spot. So Aaron's just been fantastic all season.
Yeah, and the Yankees right now will play the winner of the Rays and Guardians, who I think will start playing Friday.
Oh yeah, is it Friday? I wasn't sure. I thought maybe it was Saturday. I know all 3 games will be at Cleveland.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I think the winner of that will play the Yankees, and they start the 11th. So there's a lot of time off between, Wednesday's game, and then I don't think they play for almost a week.
Yeah. Yeah, the Yankees. Yeah. Yeah.
And then
I think you might be right. I think it might be Friday or Saturday that the Rays and Guardians start.
Yeah, and they got some crazy scheduling too. I think even in the second round, they might have a couple days off. A day off after game 1, a day off after game 2. I mean, at this rate, they'll have the World Series the 5th of November.
Yeah, and if the Yankees were to make it, to the World Series, it gets kind of cold at night in November.
Yeah, I mean, they don't care. They want to play their primetime games, and so you get all the meat on the bone they got to get. So it's not changing.
I tell you, that kid Oswaldo Cabrera, he's shown a little pop with the bat lately.
Yeah, I mean, he's been quite a find. I mean, everywhere they put him, he makes great plays defensively, and, he settled in. He struggled a little when they first got him, but, they gave him some at-bats. They let him play every day, and, he's looks like he could be a heck of a player for years to come.
Yeah, I mean, at third base, outfield, anywhere they put him, the kid can make plays with the glove and showing some pop with the bat, and he's a switch hitter, too.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't hear it so much about him in the off season, it was Volpe and the other Cabrera and Dominguez, but he's really stepped it up and been a great surprise.
And that Bader guy, he is impressive in center field. He's quick.
Yeah, he can really cover ground. I'm glad, he got he come back and he played the last 10, 12 games. So, us fans got a chance to see what he can do, and he can really cover ground in the outfield, and he can steal bases, and he looked like he's a decent hitter. So, that looks like a good acquisition. It didn't look that way a month ago.
No. And have you heard anything about Matt Carpenter? I thought I heard that he might be available for the postseason.
The last I heard, they switched him from the 30-day disabled list to the 60.
Okay.
I think he's hitting. He might be taking batting practice, and they'll probably make a final decision. We'll know by next Tuesday. The Yankees will probably play inter-squad games and simulated games, and they'll see what he can do, but. The first round might be kind of, iffy with Carpenter. It's going to be tough to come back after not playing for a couple months and then, getting thrown in that kind of situation. It's a tough deal.
Yeah, I tell you, last night Luis Severino had a no-hitter through 7 innings, and they took him out of the game after only 94 pitches. And the last guy he faced, he struck him out on a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. I mean, I get analytics, I understand it, and I know Severino, they're trying to keep his arm fresh, but I miss the days when they let a pitcher, if he's throwing a no-hitter, just go for it, especially when he's throwing 100 miles an hour in the 7th inning.
Well, the thing with Sevy, he's always been strong when he gets late in the game. He could always keep his velocity up. But I guess with the playoffs coming up and, the histories of injury he's had, they didn't want to risk anything. And it was pretty much, a meaningless game. But Sevy was fantastic last night.
Oh, yeah. They showed you, Boone talking to him in the dugout. You could tell Boone was explaining to him, trying to explain to him why. I think, Sevy, I love his competitiveness, though. He is a guy, he's going to give you everything he has on the mound. Yeah, when
Boone was talking to him, he didn't even want to look at Boone. he didn't want to come out, which is a great, this is what you want. You don't want guys who want to come out. So, when he thought about it, he knew it was the right thing. But, you like the fire. You like the competitiveness. Yeah.
And we got Garrett Cole going in Game 2 tonight. Of course, he'll be our Game 1 starter. I would assume Cortez would be our Game 2 in the playoffs, right? Our number 2 starter? Or do you think they might go Sevy?
No, I think it'll be Cortez. I mean, the argument could be made. Cortez pitch the first game, but you don't give Cole all that money, to be a number 2 star. And Cortez, I mean, what a season he had. He looked fantastic on Saturday against the Orioles. 1 hit in 7 innings, 12 strikeouts. I mean, he really had a fantastic year.
I mean, his ERA is 2.44, and I guess he's just shy of a couple innings shy of qualifying for the ERA title. But I mean, the year he's having, it's been incredible. I mean, giving up less than 2.5 runs a game over the span of a season.
Yeah, the last 2 years he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball. And I mean, I remember when he was with the Yankees previously, he was like a guy, he didn't throw that hard. He was more like an inning eater.
Yeah.
Maybe he could get through the lineup once, but if his control wasn't precise, he was going to get knocked around. I mean, he's really turned it around. He's turned into an outstanding pitcher. And he's really fun to watch too, with all the herky-jerky deliveries he has.
Yeah, you never know what kind of delivery you're going to get, and it fools a lot of hitters.
Yeah. It looks like he's going to fall down on the mound, but he is a lot of fun to watch. It's like Louis Tiant.
Yeah. Oh, was he a Cardinal?
Who? Sevy? Not Sevy,
No.
Cortez?
Yeah.
I believe he was. He was a Cardinal. He was a Yankee. I think he was with the Orioles, and he might have been with Seattle for a couple games. He bounced around quite a bit.
And it's amazing how he's turned into one of the best starters the Yankees had in a while.
Yeah, he's been probably as good as anybody in baseball, and it's definitely a diamond in the rough, and you're never too old to get better, and he's got a chip on his shoulders because a lot of organizations didn't believe in him, and the Yankees brought him back, gave him a second chance, and he's been fantastic with them.
Yeah, and Severino, even though he's only got just over 100 innings pitched this year, he's got an ERA just over 3 at 3.18. He's been solid this year. I mean, and even James Talon, he's 14-5. His ERA's gone up a little bit in the second half, but the starters have been pretty solid all year.
Yeah, the starters maybe for like a couple-week period in August. But other than that, they've been outstanding all year, probably for like 135, 140 games. They've been, the backbone of the team.
Yeah. The only thing worrying me about going into postseason is the back end of the rotation. Because evidently Clay Holmes might not be able to go just yet.
Yeah, I mean, that's a concern. I think Peralta's coming back, and, you got, Loizaga, and, you don't know if Chapman's going to make the roster, and you can't really rely on him, and, Lucas has been good for most of the year, Lunke, and, you're just going by bullpen by committee, and that's a hard way to do it.
Yeah, because they asked Boone after the game today at the presser if Chapman is going to be on the roster, and Boone didn't answer, yes or no. He was just saying, we'll have to take into account his good performances and his bad. So he was kind of non-committal on whether or not Chapman will make the roster. But, I mean, I don't know who else they can have in the back end of the rotation. I mean, I figured he'd be one of the guys in the mix.
Well, Chapman looked pretty good today. But Saturday was the same, or Sunday he come in and pitched, and he just walked everybody. He's lost confidence in his fastball, and he's all over the place. And I think now that he's walking a lot of batters, even on borderline pitches, the umpires aren't giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And I seen that a couple times Sunday. Close pitches, he wasn't getting the call. And, he's been walking a lot of guys with, 3-2 counts on him because, he's not getting the close pitch anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he's given up 28 walks along with 18 hits in 36 innings, Chapman. And that's a recipe for disaster. Yeah,
and I mean, every time he comes in, I mean, today he threw 14 pitches in one inning, which isn't too bad, but I mean, a lot of times, even when he was saving games earlier in the year, and he was still throwing 18, 20, 22 pitches, and it's not like 8, 10, 12 pitches like he used to throw because he was throwing strikes. Now it's you don't know what you're going to get every time out.
Yeah, and Domingo Germán should make the roster, you think, right?
Oh yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because I like him as their fourth starter, but I understand with the Jameson Taillon, he's had a good year. I imagine he would be their fourth starter if they went 4, and Germán would be out of the bullpen.
Yeah, I think that's the way they're gonna do it.
Yeah, I tell you, I'd rather face the Guardians than the Rays if I had a choice. Yeah, the Rays, even though we've been better against them the last couple of years, they're a scrappy team when they play New York.
Well, I mean, all the teams, the playoffs now, I mean, the Jays, the Rays, the Mariners, and the Guardians, they've all played really good baseball the last 2 or 3 weeks. But the Rays are one of those teams. They're always like, they got that pitching.
Yeah.
And they're a scary team to play because you could face them 3 or 4 games and score 3 runs because that's the kind of staff they got.
Yeah, and Blue Jays and Mariners the Astros will face the winner of the Blue Jays and Mariners.
Yeah, they'll have their hands full with those teams. So we're talking about the Yankees and the Astros. And, there's a good possibility it might be the Rays and the Blue Jays. So
yeah, Toronto's been playing really good ball lately. I think they're 7-3 in their last 10 games.
Yeah, they like we were saying, they wanted the 3-game playoff in Toronto. So they stepped it up towards the end of the season. Yeah,
Toronto, they got 91 wins on the year. I mean, they did better than I thought. I thought they'd be, one of the teams to be fighting for, being in the mix, but I didn't think they'd win over 90 games. I was thinking over 85, between 85 and 90, but they've had a great year so far.
Well, I mean, you look at the Yankees division, there's 4 teams that finished over 500.
Yeah.
And who made the playoffs? I mean, you have 4 of the teams in your division with winning records. It's, I think overall it's the best division in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Toronto 91, Tampa 86, Baltimore's 182, and Boston has 76 wins. I mean, so yeah, I mean, it's been Baltimore was a surprise. I mean, they were there in contention for a wild card too for a while.
Yeah, for like from May 17th for almost 5 months, they had the best record. They had a better record than the Yankees.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's better that the Yankees played them early before they got good. And I mean, the Orioles made moves to trade deadline, getting rid of a couple of their veterans, and it looked like they were going to give up on the season. And they just gutted out. Like, got a lot of young players they gave opportunities to, and now the Orioles are going to be a problem in the coming seasons.
Yeah, and talking about another New York team, the Mets, they were in first place the entire season. Then the 3-game series with the Braves, they just needed to win 1 game to keep it tied, and they ended up getting swept. And now they're going to be playing in the wild card, and they'll have to play the Padres. And the Padres got a good team. I mean, they got some guys in their lineup that can hit.
Yeah, the Mets had a big lead. I think it was 10 games. And, this weekend they were playing the Braves. They had everything lined up. They had Degraw, they had Scherzer, and they had their other top pitcher, and they just couldn't get it done. And now, even if they win the first round against the Padres, which is going to be tough, they have to play the Dodgers.
Yeah, and the Dodgers are a beast of a team. I mean, the Padres are a good team, and the Dodgers have a 22-game lead over them in their division. So, I mean, Mets, if they have any shot of trying to make it to the World Series this year, boy, they're going to be playing some good teams to get there. Yeah,
I mean, the Mets have been snake bit for pretty much since 1969. Well, 86 they come through, but they've had chances to get in the playoffs, and something always falls apart. And well, at least they made it this year, so we'll see. They could still wind up in the series. You never know. They got the pitching too.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I think the Yankees. We'll see the Yankees and Astros in the ALCS, and hopefully, knock on wood. But it'd be nice to see the Yankees get in the World Series this year. It really would.
Yeah, I mean, after in 2017 they just missed by 1 game, and we were figuring, okay, well by this time, we'd have a World Series title, maybe 2, and they've had some excellent teams and some excellent seasons, but they just haven't been able to get past the Astros. The Red Sox haven't been able to get the big hit or the big pitch, and hopefully they can do it this year. New faces.
Yeah. And the one thing that's a good sign is Stanton is starting to come around a little bit. In the last 3 games, he's got a couple homers, batting 300. If he can get going, you could see what he could do in the postseason. I think that one postseason he had 6 home runs for the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean his bat's been kind of slow since he came back, but last night he, against a 99-mile-an-hour fastball, he just put it in the left field stands like, it was out of here in like
yeah.
one of Stanton's line drives. So it was nice to see him catch up with a fastball because, if he gets hot, he can help, he can carry a team.
Oh, yeah. I mean, with the year Judge is having, and if he can get hitting, and, Glaber's had I guess you can call it a bounce-back year. Even, I mean, he's only batting 257, but the 24 homers, the 76 RBIs, he's had a decent year. I mean, I like our lineup, especially if the guys are coming around and hitting good.
Yeah, Glaber's done really well the last 3 or 4 weeks. He's using the whole field, and he's gotten a lot of big hits as he has all year. And he slumped. Donaldson slumped. A lot of those guys slumped. When Stanton was hurt and Rizzo was out of the lineup, and but for the most part, they've been consistent all year. And
Higashioka, he's in his last 7 games, he's batting .444 with like 2 home runs and 7 RBIs. So he's been hot lately, and I wonder, if he's someone who gets some at bats in the first round division series, if you go with him over Trevino.
Yeah, it looks like Trevino's maybe wearing down a little, but you get our 2 catchers, you get Higgy and Trevino, and they got probably I don't know what the stats are off hand, but it's like 18 homers, 80 RBIs. So they've really been productive, with the catching.
Yeah, both the 10 home runs, so it's 20 home runs and 72 RBIs between the 2 of them. Trevino's got 42 and Higgy's got 30.
No, that's good. I mean, that's productive, and I mean the defense is excellent.
Yeah. That would be interesting. I mean, I can't believe that the wild card round starts basically this coming weekend. Games will be starting Friday, but it'll be in full effect, over the weekend.
Yeah. This is what this is what we wait for all year. As Yankee fans were spoiled. We know they're going to win 90+ games, 95 games, and this is the make or break time, and hopefully a lot of the new faces will step up and do the job this year.
Well, I remember the first half of the year, I mean, the Yankees were steamrolling everybody. Me and you were, we didn't have much to talk about because it was just they were winning just left and right. I thought for sure they'll win well over 100 games. They were talking about maybe them breaking the record for the most wins in the season. But they've had their struggles in the second half. But things things look like they're starting to straighten out for them.
Yeah, they had a real bad August. From there was like a 30-game stretch when they had leads like late in the game, and I think it was 7 or 8 times and they couldn't close a deal, and then they started struggling offensively. And the good thing really this year, the defense have been solid all season. They're actually an outstanding defensive team.
Oh yeah, I mean they got speed and I love that guy Bader in center field. He's better than I thought he was because I never really saw him play. But he's good. I mean, the infield. How's DJ LeMahieu been? I haven't really seen a lot of his at bats or heard anything about him.
He's been having some good at bats. I mean, they don't know how the foot's going to hold up, but I mean, he's been going deep in the count. He's been getting some hits, but. He was hitting over 290, and after he had that injury, he tried to play on it. Yeah. And even now, he's only around 260 and stuff. So, I mean, I think there is some question about him, but he'll be on the playoff rush. He'll probably play tonight.
Yeah. Today's one of those nights where I get to stay up and I'll be able to watch the game.
Well, one of the big things for the last week or so, MLB has been putting the games on. And there's even a channel on Facebook. It's like GT Live, and they show almost all the Yankee games. So the last month, I've been watching pretty much all the games.
Yeah. I'm looking at his stats over the last 7, 15, now I'm going to 30 days. Where is he? Oh, there he is. Yeah. Yeah, he's only played 3 games in the last 30 days. So it'd be nice to get him some at-bats these next 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, he's been playing in the field too, but, when you miss a lot of time, then you're coming back in the playoffs. It's a whole different thing. But, I mean, he's got a different swing. I mean, he uses the whole field. So he's not like a guy like Stanton who, is always trying to hit homers and pull the ball. I mean, LeMahieu can hit all over when he's right.
Oh, yeah, and I remember that Houston series where, I mean, he hit that home run late in the game, I think, to tie it up. But, I mean, he's just someone that he's a really tough out and a good hitter. Like you said, he could hit it all over the field. And, like to have him playing in the playoffs. Even if he's only at like 60, 70%, I'd take him every day.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys, when you got a runner on second with 2 outs, you want to see him up because he'll put the ball in play somewhere.
I tell you things, it's going to be interesting. I'm actually really excited for the postseason. I do like our team. The back end of the rotation does worry me, but hopefully the Guardians can do away with the Rays. I'd rather see Cleveland, but I guess we'll know who we're playing next week when we talk.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that concerns me is really like you were saying, is the bullpen.
Yeah.
And other than that, they're solid. I mean, they could win it all, and we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I just hope, Garrett Cole, all that money we pay him, I just hope, that first game he sets the tone for the rest of the series. I'd like to see him have a Yankee moment in the postseason where he pitches to his contract.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he can step it up.
Well, next week, Jack. We'll know who we're playing.
Yep. Just let me indulge myself, Robert.
Oh, yeah.
This week, Hector Lopez passed away, and Hector was with the Yankees. Like he was a 61 Yankee, and he was like the 4th outfielder. He was a super sub. But one of the things I remember when I come down here, and I used to live by Himes, a minor league complex, Hector was always over there. And, I became friendly with him, and, he was just a really nice guy. He was always nice to me. So, rest in peace, Hector. But he was on the 61 Yankees, with Maris and Mantle and Kubek and Boyer and all those, Whitey Ford. And in the 61 series, he knocked in 7 runs.
Holy shit, yeah. I just pulled up his he was the Yankees from 59 to 66.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things, Robert, he was the first black manager in AAA.
No kidding.
Yeah, after he was in the Washington Senators minor league, and Ted Williams in '69 and Bob Short come and ask Hector to manage the team. I think it was in Buffalo.
Yeah,
Buffalo or up in Canada and stuff. So Hector was like the first black manager in AAA, and it was a couple years before Frank Robertson, became manager of the Indians. And also, I think Hector was the second player from Panama to make the big leagues.
How about that? Yeah, New York Times did an article on him. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the first black manager at the highest level of minor league baseball.
But I remember, being down here, Robert, he used to play like in the Yankee fantasy camp. They had Ron Bloomberg, and they had Tom Tresh and Al Downing and Joe Pepitone, Phil Linz, and Louis Soho, and the list is endless, Mel Stottlemyre. But and Jesse Barfield was down here, but I never realized a couple of years ago, Hector was playing in some of those games when he was like 81 years old.
No kidding.
The one game, they had Phil Linz up there and Bloomberg and Hector and Jesse Barfield. I mean, these poor guys, Jim Leyritz, their knees were shot.
Yeah.
And they would hit him ground balls, and they couldn't bend down for him. And it was just, but it was always great fun to see him. And they're all good guys. I mean, that was the thing. They were always great guys. And, and like I say, I miss Hector. I miss seeing him around because, I used to speak to him a lot. He was always nice to me. And, it's just changed. Spring training is not this way it used to be, and you don't have access to the players. And he was just a real nice guy, and I just appreciated him being nice to me.
Yeah, I feel ashamed that I had never heard of him before because I love Yankee history, and he was 92 years old. He was one of the it says last living members of the early Yankees dynasty in the '60s. He played alongside, like you said, Mantle and Maris, and he was 93, and he appeared in 5 consecutive World Series with the team. Wow. I'm ashamed I didn't know him. I'm glad that you got to know him personally.
Well, it was funny. He was a really nice guy. But 61, when Mickey Mantle, him and Maris were going for the home run title, and Mickey got the shot.
Oh, yeah.
Mel Allen, said, "Oh, I know a doctor." And he gave Mickey a shot, and it got infected, and Mickey couldn't play too much. And in the series, the blood was seeping through his uniform, so Hector went out and played the last couple of games, and he had 7 RBIs. Yeah, I think the last game, Hector had 5 RBIs. They beat the Reds 13-5 in the 5-game series, and Johnny Blanchard had a big game, and so Hector was in 5 World Series in a row, which is a tremendous accomplishment.
Oh yeah, here it says here in the 5th and final game of the '61 World Series against the Reds, he smashed a home run, a triple, and drove in 5 runs in the Yankees' 13-5 victory. Wow.
So. Yeah, he had his moments, and he was with the Gulf Coast Yankees, like I say, as a manager and as a coach from, up till he was 83 years old. And you looked at him, even though he was down here in spring training, when he was 89, 90, and he still looked good. He was still moving around and stuff. So,
Yeah, I love watching a lot of the Yankees will have what they call a Yankeeography, where they do biographies of all the former players. They really should do one on him. I haven't seen one on him yet. I've watched ones on Elston Howard, Mantle, all of them. But he's someone they really should do a biography on. Well,
he accomplished a lot. He was with the team for a long time. Like I say, he was probably, he was in baseball. I bet he spent 50-plus years in baseball, maybe even 60. And I think when they had the World Baseball Classic, he was the manager of Panama in 2019. I might have been even the Olympic manager, but I'm not too sure about that. But, even guys you really don't hear a lot about and who are not very popular, you read their history, it's a tremendous story. Any of the old timers have a great stories to tell.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, like I said, the New York Times wrote an article, and it's a good article. I've been reading it, and people should check it out. But yeah, his son said that he died from complications of lung cancer. His son, Degraw Lopez.
Yeah, I like I said, I was very sad when I heard it, and but great memory. He was a super guy.
Yeah. That's a shame. Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't know him. I'm ashamed I didn't because he was part of that dynasty and a big part. They called him like a super. He'd be a super utility player. Is what I guess they call you now.
Yeah, he was one of those players they got from the Kansas City A's. I mean, the Yankees had a farm team in Kansas City in the 1950s, and then when the Philadelphia A's went to Kansas City in the American League, they became pretty much a Yankee farm team.
Yeah. Wow. 93, and he lived a good life, or a long life.
Yep.
Oh, man. Yeah, Kansas City Athletics. He began his career at the Kansas City Athletics in 1955. He played every position on the field except pitcher and catcher.
Well, he was one of those utility guys. They had Hector, Johnny Blanchard, Phil Linz, and that's the kind of guys you need when you win. I mean, Phil Linz had the saying, play me or trade me. No, play me or keep me. Yeah, they had Blanchard. I remember talking to him, and I think the only game he ever hit fourth in his life, cleanup, was the fifth game of the World Series, and I think he had a home run and knocked in 4 runs. So the super subs had a great series on that. One of the greatest teams ever for 1961 Yankees, and there's still like 5 or 6 of those guys left, but there's not too many anymore.
Yeah, and it's in this article it said Lopez returned to managing briefly to lead the Yankees rookie level team in 94 and 95.
Yeah, that's the Gulf Coast League. I mean, you talk about a tough league, Robert. They play like 12 noon in the blazing heat down here. I mean, The heat index is 105. It's just brutal. I used to go over and watch them once in a while. And, you're out in the sun, it just kills you. I mean, those guys don't make no money, but if they made $1 million and people had to play in that, they would say they earned every penny of it.
Yeah. I can remember being a little kid living in Florida, and in the morning it'd be a little chilly, and you're right, by noontime it was sweltering. Yeah, and those games are noontime, and they got to be at the complex 7:00 in the morning. Wow.
And you're playing in the blazing heat, and if you're playing at Lakeland or Dunedin or Clearwater, you have to take the bus down, the bus to the facility, but it's rough in the heat. It's not an easy life or not an easy league to play in. Yeah.
And then Lopez, he was interviewed for a 2002 book called That Was Part of Baseball, then written by Victor Debs Jr. That's a book I might want to check out. He's quoted as saying there was a lot of competition, a lot of great players during the 50s and 60s, plus the fact that there weren't that many black players at the time, especially in the American League. So I guess you can say I made the most out of my opportunities.
Now I remember what I wanted to tell you, Robert. I used to live across. Yeah, he really he had quite a career. Now I remember I used to live across the street from the Yankees. I mean, literally 5 minutes, and I used to go over there all the time. And I remember one time Hector saying to me, he goes, I see you more than my wife.
Yeah, you got to be dedicated when you're trying to, at that level. I guess you're, sacrificing a lot of time.
Yeah. Ballpark. Yeah. So, it was, thanks for letting me talk about it, Robert. It was, but it's some good memories. Yeah, but you're right. How much has changed? How the access to players it's not even close to what it used to be. No, and it's just it's not going to get better. And I mean, unfortunately, I've had my time, so I don't give a damn. But I mean, I feel sorry for the young kids and the young people. I mean, they can't feel as part of the sports anymore because they can't afford to go to games, and they don't have access to the players, and it's just it's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, money's taken over, and it's all about making money now. And they've forgotten the fans to a degree.
Well, I mean, one of the nice things was always like, you know, like somebody would stop by, oh, let's go to Yankee game tonight. And you'd hop in the car or get in the bus and you go to the game. And you can have a great time for $15. And unfortunately, those days are long gone.
Yeah, I remember being a teenager in the 90s, even late teens, hopping on a train, going up to the Bronx, and you go to the bleachers, you can't do that anymore. It's just, like you said, it's just too expensive.
Well, I remember one time I was walking over to, I was watching the Yankees practice, the minor leaguers, and I was going over to an exhibition game. And Hector was out in left field, standing in batting practice. He goes, "You going to the game?" And I says, "Yeah." And I said, "Hector, I spent $15. When you played, I could have seen 50 games."
It's crazy how prices have changed so much. My God.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to say, Robert. I'm glad I'm not young anymore.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's like even the Mets. I mean, the Mets, Yankees. It doesn't. You turn on games right now, and half the stadium, most of the stadium's empty. I mean, once the postseason comes around, of course they'll be full. But I mean, people can't afford to go to a game. Unless it's a really big series, that they'd rather watch it on TV, save their money.
Yeah, well, unfortunately now, there's only a few people can afford it. And that's the kind of people they want. They're going to spend a lot of money. They're going to go there to eat, to be seen instead of watching the game. And, the average fan has been priced out, and it's all sports. And unfortunately now, I don't care anywhere near about it like I used to. I mean, I used to love all the games, and I still do. But I don't give a shit about football, basketball, hockey, tennis, even baseball. It wasn't for the Yankees, I don't even think I'd watch baseball. But, it's just a shame. When you're not a part of something, who wants to be a part of something that doesn't want, really care about you? And that's the way I feel.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, I'm mid to late 40s, and I don't watch the NBA anymore. I watch football, mainly because of fantasy. Baseball, I find it with the way the analytics have taken over the game, it's like a struggle to watch it. It's just things have changed so much.
Well, like when I was down here, I mean, I could go down and see the Bucks the day of the game, get in $20, $30. Now they want $275 to sit in the upper deck.
Oh, that's outrageous. No, thank you. Wow. Yeah, it's just too expensive. Yeah. Wow. It's a pleasure as always, Jack. Yeah, I look forward to next week.
Yeah. Okay, Robert. Well, it's good. We let off some steam, and I got to something. I'm glad that I was able to, say something great about Hector.
Yeah, I'm ashamed I never even heard of him, and I'm surprised that I never did, because he part of that dynasty. I thought, you would think I would have heard of him, and I'm going to dig more into him. And for our listeners, I would check out the Times article and do a little background, on Hector Lopez, because he was a big contributor to that dynasty.
Yep.
Okay, Jack. Next week.
Yep, we'll do the playoff preview next week, Robert, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, hopefully we'll find out who we're playing. Like I said, I hope it's the Guardians, but, you never know what happens in the postseason.
No.
Yeah. All right, Jack, and to our listeners, we'll see you next week.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.